All right, guys, I wanted to take a minute and walk you through some of the questions that you had on the assignment that was due Monday. I know it can be kind of difficult to understand some of these concepts, especially whenever you're not in the classroom and we're getting to talk face to face. So I'm just going to walk you through a couple of them, and hopefully they'll make a little bit more sense to you after we've gone through them. So first off, always read the directions all the way through so that you know everything that you're being asked. You don't want to miss anything. So in the directions, it says to determine the independent variable, the dependent variable, the constants and controls from the following science experiments. And then it gives you the definitions of those terms. Your independent variable, remember, that's what is changing in the experiment. That's what you are changing, or the scientist is changing in the experiment. Your dependent variable is what you're going to measure at the end. Your constants are going to be all the variables in the experiment that you're going to keep the same, because remember, you are only wanting to test one thing at a time. So you want to make sure everything is going to stay the same except for your independent variable. That's the only thing that you should be changing. And then a control, that's going to be your, if you remember when I talked to you about the experimental group and the control group, you have to have something to measure your experimental group against. So that's going to be your control. It's what you measure the experimental group against at the end to determine if your independent variable has any effect or not. Okay, so for number 1, it says the number of flowers on different breeds of bushes in a greenhouse is recorded every week for 2 months. So what are we changing? The number of flowers on different breeds of bushes. We're changing the kinds of bushes. So your independent variable, what you change, or the experimenter changes, is going to be your different breeds of bushes in the greenhouse. Your dependent variable, that's going to be what you measure at the end. So the number of flowers on different breeds of bushes in a greenhouse is recorded every week for 2 months. What are we recording every week for 2 months? We're recording the number of flowers. So that's going to be what you measure at the end, the number of flowers. All right, your constants. What things are we keeping the same in this experiment? So they're all going to be in a greenhouse. That's going to be the same. They're all going to be recorded every 2 weeks. That's going to be the same. So those would be your constants. The greenhouse stays the same for both the control and the experimental group, and the time of measurement is going to stay the same. What's our control? What are we measuring our experimental group against? It doesn't really tell us in this one, so I know that probably is really confusing without me being able to explain it to you, but it's not clear. This first scenario, it doesn't give us an answer. So for this one, we could actually put in A. It did not list a control for us. There's nothing that we're measuring our experimental group to at the end. Okay, number 2. You give 4 sunflowers different watering with either pure water or different concentrations of salt solutions. After a 2-week period, the height is measured. So what am I changing as the scientist? You give 4 sunflowers, not changing that. Different watering with either pure water or different concentrations. There's your key word that's going to tell you I'm changing the type of water. So my independent variable is going to be the type of solution. That's what I'm changing. What's my dependent variable? What am I measuring at the end of the experiment? You give 4 sunflowers different watering with either pure water or different concentrations of salt solutions, and after a 2-week period, the height is measured. So your dependent variable is going to be the height. All right, what are my constants? What am I keeping the same throughout the entire experiment? Well, I'm using sunflowers throughout the whole experiment. I'm using the same time period throughout the whole experiment. So those are my 2 for sure constants. Type of flower or same type of plant. And the same time period. Okay, what's my control? What am I measuring my experimental group against at the end? So that, for this situation, it looks like because we've got our different watering types of pure water or different concentrations of salt solutions, my control is going to be the pure water. This is going to be what I measure all these different concentrations of salt solutions against at the very end. So the group that is given pure water is your control. All right, we're going to do one more. Number 3. 3 redwood trees are kept at different humidity levels inside a greenhouse for 12 weeks. 1 tree is left outside in normal conditions. Height of the tree is measured once a week. Independent variable. What am I changing? 3 redwood trees are kept at different humidity levels inside a greenhouse. So humidity is what is being changed. That's my independent variable. Dependent variable, what am I measuring at the end? Height of the tree is measured. So it's going to be height again. Okay, constants, what am I keeping the same? Well, my tree is a redwood. That's staying the same. The time period's the same, 12 weeks. And I think that would probably cover it for this one. Okay, your control. So what am I measuring my experimental group against at the end? So my redwood trees are kept at different humidity levels inside a greenhouse, but 1 tree is left outside in normal conditions. So I'm measuring my 3 redwood trees that are inside the greenhouse against the 1 tree that is left outside in normal conditions. So my control is the tree that is left outside. All right, guys, I hope this helped a little bit. If you have any questions, please email me, send me a message through our learning management system, send me a text, get in touch. Talk to you soon.